Ilango, Assistant Secretary Dr. Vijay Chandar, President-elect Dr. Abul Hasan to go to the dais. So, thank you, Secretary, for coloring the President. Immediate past President Dr. Painisamy sir, kindly join the team, sir. We will see that IMA is at its pinnacle of glory because of the great efforts of such leaders standing in front of you. And this function has been made a great success by these people here. Thank you, sirs, for making this grand function. Now, I request Dr. Ilangovan to give a welcome address.
Good morning to all. அகர முதல எழுத்தெல்லாம் ஆதி பகவான் முதற்றே உலகு என்ற திருக்குறளை ஞாபகப்படுத்தி இறைவனை வேண்டி இந்த நாளை இனிதாக தொடங்குவோம். நமது பெருமைக்குரிய பிபிஎல்எஸ்ஸின் வெள்ளி விழா ஆண்டில் பிபிஎல்எஸ் தலைவராக பொறுப்பேற்பதில் மகிழ்ச்சி. இறைவனுக்கு நன்றி கூட கடமைப்பட்டிருக்கிறேன். Respected President Dr. Sandamil Pari sir, Secretary Dr. NRT Tyagarajan, President-elect Dr. Abul Hasan, my good friend, my classmate, immediate past President Dr. G. Palanichami sir, respected Hero of the Day, Organization Committee Chairman and Legal Advisor Dr. K. Thangamuthu sir, past National Presidents Dr. Arulraj sir, Dr. Vijay Kumar sir, Dr. Jayalal, past National Vice President Ashraf sir, Pragasam sir, C.N. Raja sir, and Dr. Gunaseran sir, past State Presidents R.M.K. sir, Dr. Sukumaran sir, Dr. Kanagasabodhi sir, Dr. Ramakrishnan sir, Dr. Raghavelu sir, respected TNMSC and TNGDA President Dr. Sendil sir, present and past PPLS office bearers, district coordinators, office bearers of the other wings, and dedicated AMM members and dedicated PPLS coordinators and members, the panel of advocates of PPLS council members. I have the pleasure of welcoming you all of you in this great evening, great morning. Yesterday, as Sridhar told, it was a wonderful beginning. Everybody enjoyed the talk. Everything went on well by God's grace. I hope today also will be going to be the very memorable day in the history of PPLS. I pray God for everything. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ilango, the chairman, the new secretary, Dr. P. Lenin, and treasurer, Dr. Balaganesh. Wishing you all a grand success in your 2 years of term as the team of PPLSS, and congratulations to the outgoing team for the excellent arrangements made for this function. Now we will go to the first topic of the day, third-party reproduction and accreditation of IVF centers, legal aspects of sterilization. It will be by Dr. Gitendra Sharma, consultant obstetrician and gynecologist. The chairperson will be Dr. S. Dhanabhagyam, and the co-chairperson will be Dr. Umayal Murugesan. I request them to take the chairs.
She is the past secretary, Erode Obstetrics and Gynecological Society, and she is the president of ECOT. Medical director, Sudha Hospital, Tamil Nadu, mainly Erode, Coimbatore, Salem, Chennai, and Madurai. Best Doctor Award in 2005, IMA TNSB. Best Women Doctors Award in 2007, IMA TNSB. Best Emerging IV Center in 2021 by Times of India. Welcome you, madam. The co-chairman is Dr. Umayal Murugesan, secretary of the Kanjipuram Gynecological Society. She is graduated from MBBS from Chengalpet Medical College in the year 1988. gold medal in obstetrics and gynecology in the final year MBBS, Managing Director of Sri Kumaran A. Specialty Hospital at Tambaram, Chennai, Founder Secretary of Kanchipuram Obstetrics and Gynecological Society 2019 till present, President Indian Medical Association Tambaram, Member of Practical Obstetrics Committee of FOGSI 2021-22, special interest in laparoscopic pelvic surgeries and reproductive medicine. Welcome. The speaker is Dr. Jitendra Sharma, the practicing gynecologist and obstetrician in Ahmedabad for 20 years, MD in obstetrics and gynecology, medical legal counselor, done LLB in 15 gold medals, top Gujarat University, author of books Law in Obstetric Gynecology Practice, Consents in Obstetric and Gynecology, Laws a Doctor Must Know. Given more than 1,600 lectures and 10 orations all over India, Vice President FOGSI 22-23, Chairperson Ethics and Medical Legal Committee FOGSI 2017 and 19, President AOGS 2016-17, hosted AI COG conference in 2017 January, Honorary Joint Secretary SOCOG 2017 and 19, consultant to more than 150 corporates IVF centers in India. Welcome you all, sir.
Here we have a galaxy of stars in their own field. I request the chairperson to put the medallion on the speaker and then give her opening remarks. I request the co-chairperson to accompany the chairperson. Sir, kindly accept our honor of a medallion in the presence of our state president and state secretary. I request the chairperson to give her opening remarks. You can use the hand mic. Okay.
I want to tell about Dr. Jitendra Sharma. He is doyen for all medical legal aspects in all our Tamil Nadu Pondicherry ISAR, that is Tamil Nadu chapter, in all over India. Dr. Hitesh Bhatt and himself, they are my lawyers. Dr. Hitesh Bhatt is my lawyer, and both of them are legally advising all Indian women doctors in infertility and all aspects. They are the toppers and number one in whole India. We are really proud to invite him today in PPLS and give such nice oration. Thank you, sir.
Over to you, speaker, sir.
Good morning, friends. Thanks, Madam, Dr. Dhanbhagya Madam and Umyal Madam for giving kind introduction. At the outset, I would like to thank Tamil Nadu IMA for inviting me again, because I was there a few years back, and I received a call from Dr. Thangamuthu sir that you have to come again, and I was also eager to come to Tamil Nadu once again. So thank you for calling me once again. At the outset, I would like to thank all the organizing committee members for inviting me to Chennai. Today is the meeting of IMA PPLSSS. So I don't know how many gynecologists are there, because my topic is directly related to the people who are into infertility practice. So how much interest you will have in that ART, I don't know. But at least you should know that how laws are coming in India, creating problems for our fraternity members, whether they are infertility practitioners or whether they are in other field. So the topic is third-party reproduction and accreditation of IVF centers, legal aspects of ART, in brackets sterilization. So I asked that why sterilization is put here, because sterilization means tubal ligation, and this ART has nothing to do with sterilization. So I got answer that this is in relation to ART, sterility, and that's why the word is put sterilization. So I am going to deal the ART medical legal aspect. What is third party reproduction? The use of eggs, sperms or embryos that have been donated by a third person to enable an infertile couple to become parents is a third party reproduction. We all know that before 2021, there was no law regulating these kind of services. There were many guidelines issued by ICMR. First was in 2005, then guideline came in 2010, then multiple draft bills came after that in 2013, 15, 17. And nobody was knowing that which particular guideline is to be followed. So everybody was in dilemma. Only God knew that what is to be followed. So the practice was unregulated completely. And as these were the guidelines, there were no criminal litigation against doctor. And that's why everybody was taking benefit of it. And there were so many unethical avenues available in our practice. We were waiting for a law since then. And 44 years later, after the first birth of the child through IVF, that was by Robert G. Brown in 1978. And 67 days later, our Dr. Subhash Mukhopadhyay gave birth in Calcutta to first IVF baby in 1978. We were waiting for the law for 44 years. And happy to say that now we have something to say that the ART practice is going to be regulated by Assisted Reproductive Technology Act. We know that on 20th December, one gazette came, that was the ART Act, and it was enacted by another gazette on 25th January. It was implemented from 25th January 2022. In the same way, we got Surrogacy Act also on 25th December, and it was also started implementing from 25th January 2002. Later on 7th June, we received rules to regulate ART, and for surrogacy on 21st June, we received rules to regulate surrogacy. So, dear friends, my all infertility specialist friends and doctors, they used to ask me that please say one good thing about this act. And I always say that one good thing for this act is that at least we have something to say that now there is some law in India to regulate ART. Other than that, I don't see anything good in this law. This statement is to be taken seriously. ART Act and rules have created blunder. I can say blunder. I have been allotted 30 minutes, so I will quote a few blunders. 15, 20 blunders, whatever is possible in this allotted time. But I can say that there are more than 150 blunders in 50 pages law, which is unanswered. This is something serious. It seems that act is enacted by people who have no knowledge of medical science, and even they did not bother to take any kind of advices from the medical person. This is the reason of such act. Act is enacted in such a way that every ART practitioner will practice in dilemma, because there are so many ambiguities of interpretation, there are so many loopholes in the act itself, and they will now work under the mercy of appropriate authorities, because so many powers are being given to appropriate authorities, similarly like PCPNDT Act. So this will be another PCPNDT Act for the ART specialists. See, we all know that our doctors are practicing like this nowadays. See, in our OPDs, when we get patient, we have to see every patient as a litigant, and we have to save ourselves. So in our OPD, we have to save ourselves. That is our first motto. And to cross the road to do the practice, we have to save ourselves, and we should have medico-legal knowledge. So, dear friends, after this act is enacted, This is our position. We don't know how to practice, where to go, how to go. No answer is there in this act. Although act is enacted, that is the good thing. But there is always puzzling interpretation. There is no uniformity of implementation, even in last few months. Point-wise, if we'll go, the Act says in Section 2(1)(b) that what is the role of an ART bank. And the Act says in Section 2(1)(b) that the role of ART bank is to collect the gamete. They should store the gamete and embryos, and they will supply the gametes to the ART clinic or to the potential patients. This is the definition part of ART Act. But if you go through Section 27(1) of the same Act, it says that what will be the role of ART bank? They say that ART bank will screen the gamete donors, means they will screen the sperm donor and oocyte donor. They will collect, screen and store the semen only, not the oocyte. They will collect, screen and store the semen, and they will provide the oocyte donor to the ART clinic. Now, see the amount of discrepancy in the same act in different section. If you go through Rule 3(2), it says that ART bank can create oocyte banks. Now, surprisingly, they cannot do oocyte retrieval. They cannot stimulate oocyte donor. How can they make oocyte bank? That is the question. And when you go through the facilities which are necessary for an ART bank to start an ART bank, the physical requirement is only RMP can start, only MBBS doctor can start ART bank, and the requirement of instrument, nowhere they have mentioned any instrument of ovum pickup or oocyte freezing. So how can they make ART bank, this oocyte bank? So these all things are unanswered. So there are so many questions unanswered, and there are ambiguities that whether Section 2(1)(b) is correct, is to be followed, or 27(1) is to be followed. Can a bank do ovum pickup? If bank wants to create oocyte bank, who will do pickup for them? And if suppose you pick up the oocyte from ART clinic and you store it in ART bank, according to Section 29 of the Act, if you want to transfer the gamete, you require national board permission, and which is not easy to get. So within one day, you cannot shift the oocyte from ART clinic to ART bank. So these are all the problems of ART. We all know that in India, for a female, the age of marriage is still 18 years. According to the definition of infertility, it is said that the infertility is not to conceive after 1 year of uninterrupted coitus. That means at the age of 19 years, somebody who is getting married at the 18 years, after attaining the age of 19 years, they can stamp that this is the patient of infertility. But surprisingly, the minimum age to take ART treatment is 21 years. So somebody is stamped infertile at 19 years, but he is restricted to take treatment through ART till 21. And this is unreasonable. This is violation of right to health. You cannot restrict anybody to take any kind of treatment. Regarding registration, registration is specifically put here as a part of my lecture. So I will go a little bit in detail of registration. Rule 8 says, under PCPA, this ART Act, Rule 8 says that appropriate authority has to satisfy himself or itself. The appropriate authority shall, after making an inquiry and after satisfying itself that the applicant has complied with all requirements, shall grant a certificate of registration in Form 3 to the applicant. Now, in one section, this is mentioned, and in another section, that is Section 16(5) of ART Act, it is said that no registration shall be granted unless the state board has inspected the premises of the applicant. Now it is not clear. Appropriate authority has to issue certificate, but state board has to inspect the premises. How can when state board will inspect the premises, how appropriate authority will satisfy himself that everything is been complied? So nothing is clear in this act. What is exactly the procedure? Nobody knows. And in Pune and in Telangana, in some states, where appropriate authority, after satisfying himself, gave certificates to different center, they were asked to deposit back all the certificates because state boards objected that we have not yet inspected the premises. So please give all the certificate back, and once state board will inspect, and then I will issue the certificate again. So this is mockery going on everywhere. I have never seen such a chaos in my whole life under any act. Section 15(2) says that every application for registration shall be made to the national registry through appropriate authority. And surprisingly, this act was enacted on 25th January. The rule came on 7th June, but no appropriate authorities are still appointed in certain states. In state of UP, there is no appropriate authority till today. In state of Gujarat, nobody knows who is appropriate authority. There are multiple states where even authorities are not been appointed, and National Registry has directly given a link that where should you apply. They are asking every now and then the question whether you have submitted the fee or not. But nobody in the state knows that who will collect the fee and where the fee will be collected. This is the chaos going on. National Registry has started taking online application directly without taking into consideration the appropriate authorities or the state appropriate authorities. According to online application on National Registry, it is mentioned that the application has to submit a hard copy to the personal health secretary of the state. And when after filling the online application, doctors go to health secretary says that I don't know what to do. There is no information to me directly from the government, and I am not authorized to collect your application, and they refuse to receive such application. So these are the problems of registration. According to Act, it is said that application through the appropriate authority to the National Registry should be done within 60 days of the formation of National Registry. Now, National Registry was formed on 24th May. So that means you have to apply before 24th July. Somebody who has applied before 24th July can continue working unless they get the registration. But what about others who have applied late? They have to stop the practice. How can you say somebody to stop the practice? And government has no responsibility. On receipt of application, it is said that appropriate authority shall within a period of 30 days shall give the registration number. But there is no appropriate authorities. The application done in July 2022 are still pending. So how registration process is going on, nobody knows. What to do when application is done almost a year back and no reply has still been received from the authority, whether to continue practice or not. What about new centers coming up? See, somebody has invested crores of rupees to start ART clinic after July. They have invested crores of rupees in machinery. They have invested crores of rupees in employment of staff. But they are not allowed to start practice. They are not given registration because fresh application, nobody is ready to take the application. These are the problems of registration. No clarity what to do in case if there is any change of doctor or change of equipment in your clinic. See, there is provision, Rule 13 under PCPNDT Act, that if there is any change of equipment, employee or place, you can intimate the appropriate authority. But there is no such rule in ART Act, and everybody is in dilemma that suppose some doctor is working in some corporate hospital, now have left the job, and some other doctor has joined the hospital. What should be the process to inform the appropriate authority? Nobody knows. Grievance redressal cell. It is now mandatory to have a grievance redressal cell in every ART clinic. But there is no clarity in Act that how it should be formed, who will be the member, how it will work, what will be the jurisdiction, what will be the power of this, what will be the duty of this redressal cell. Nobody knows. Nothing is clear in the Act and rules. Previously, in ICMR guideline 2010, there were Form M for sperm donor, Form M1 for oocyte donor, and for surrogate there was a form that was M2. And it was said that you have to maintain the confidentiality and anonymity of donor. Now in this Act, there is no clarity that whether anonymity is to be maintained or not. Nobody knows. Only thing it is mentioned that you should do 4 investigation on the donor, that is HIV, HCV, HBsAg and VDRL. Not more than that. Now what about CBC, LFT, RFT, thalassemia screening? Nobody knows that whether it is necessary to do or not. How the information of the donor will be conveyed to the recipient? It is not clear because there is no form now. Form M1M is not there. So whether to show the photograph of donor or not, whether confidentiality or anonymity is to be maintained or not, nothing is clear. According to one provision, the recipient has to take insurance from the name of donor. What is the amount of insurance? Nothing is mentioned. There is no company directly giving insurance which clarifies that they will cover ovum donation complication. There is 30 days window period for every insurance. 7 days, 10 days, 30 days window period. So basically, if you take insurance for oocyte donation, it will not start working till you do the ovum pickup procedure. So how it will cover the complication of oocyte donation? We are happy to say that government has recently issued a few days back guideline to all insurance company to start such an insurance to cover this oocyte donor and surrogates. Consents, all consents under this Act, that is form number 6 to 15, are blunder. I can say blunder. The reason is, when you go through the form 8, that is for IUI donor, in first line, they have mentioned that you should write the Aadhaar card number and telephone number of the donor. That is the form to be signed by recipient. And in that, it is said that you have to write Aadhaar card number and mobile number of the donor. And on next line, after 2 lines, in 4th line, it is said that I will not try to know the identity of a donor. It is something like that, that we say that Pushpa tera naam kya hai? So these type of clauses are there in the Act itself.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir, I will take 5-10 minutes more, if possible.
5, sir.
5 minutes. So I will go fast. So,
Thank you.
So basically, we all know the Samira Kohli versus Dr. Prabha Manchanda's case. Multiple things are being said in that minimum information are to be provided in consent. But nothing is being followed. These all consents are inadequate in the eyes of law. Even the language, if you go through the language of the consent, in English, they have written oocyte retrieval, and in Hindi, they have translated it that punah prapti. Oocyte retrieval, they must have put in Google Translator and they got this translation. They have not applied mind. Punah prapti means to give again. It is so reword they have translated as punah, and tribal they have translated something else. So these kind of laws, see, we always say that our national dignity, see, if you want to know that what is the level of a country, we always say that go through 2 or 3 such laws of that country and you will know that what is the level of that country. And We are literally creating problem for our country. Our image is going to be starved. Independent entity, it is said that ART bank should be independent from the ART clinic in the Act, Section 27. But when we go through the application format online available, it is said that every ART clinic can register themselves as an ART bank also. So how can it be an independent? Whether premises should be same, whether staff should be same or not, nothing is clear. Regarding sourcing of gamete, it is said that ART bank can give sperm of one donor to one commissioning couple only. Does it mean that sperm donor can go to another ART bank and can donate to another couple or not? Nothing is clear. For oocyte donor, it is mentioned that oocyte donor can donate only once in a lifetime. And only 7 oocytes should be retrieved. Now it is humanly impossible to make only 7 or restrict up to 7 oocytes in a donor. So such kind of clauses which are illogical should be removed. Efforts are going on from the government side. They have tried to create solution to these problems, but I don't know when it will happen. There is no clarity regarding international donor. They don't have Aadhaar card. So how they will donate in India, because there is no prohibition of taking international donor in law. So how we will screen that donor, nobody knows. Can donor be compensated? Multiple questions in RTI are being asked by different people, and multiple different answers they have received. Somebody says that we cannot compensate at all. Somebody says, no, we can give travel and food allowance. And somebody may say another thing. Nothing is clear in this act. But if you go to as a Hedon's rule, then it should not be compensated. Donor should not be compensated. Regarding transfer, it is said that for transfer, every transfer of gamete or embryo, even for self-use, if you want to transfer from one ART clinic to another ART clinic, you have to take permission from the National Board. And now we have received one judgment from Kerala High Court. One judge was very compassionate with the patient and doctors, and he said that this act is not applicable for their own gametes. These kind of judgments which are absolutely against the interpretation of the act, I don't know how far it will sustain. In act offense and penalties, it is said that exploiting the commissioning couple or woman or donor will amount to offense under this act. Now, what is the meaning of exploitation? What is the definition of exploitation? Nobody knows. Use of any intermediate to get the donor will also be a crime. Can you get any donor without intermediate? It is impossible. How can it be considered as crime? Who is a gynecologist? Again, I will take 2 minutes, sir. So, there are different definitions as a gynecologist. For level 1, there is different definition. In level 2, there is a different definition. Many appropriate authorities are refusing to register DGOs as a gynecologist for ART clinic level 2. It is something, the purpose of any act is not to prohibit somebody to do practice. The purpose of any act is to regulate the practice, but not to prohibit somebody to do practice. Experience for MD is also 3 years. And experience for super specialist is also 3 years. So one doctor from Bombay came to went to one appropriate authority that, sir, I have done post DNB 2 years super specialization in infertility. So please register me. So authority says that no, after completion of your super specialization, you don't have 3 years experience. So she came to us. So we guided that don't tell that I am a super specialist. Tell him I am MD only and I have 3-year experience. Then he registered her. So surprising, these are all surprising things. Definition of embryologist, even a veterinary doctor can become an embryologist. But MBBS is not considered the doctor of life sciences, and that's why they are not being able to do embryology, they are to become embryologists. So no uniformity of implementation, discrepancy in interpretation, lack of training, and non-appointment of appropriate authority, haphazard implementation of ART Act and rules. This will be another PCP and DT Act. vast powers are given to appropriate authorities, and it will open the avenues of corruption, we all know. We all know that in 2005-10 multiple guidelines were there. Government has created mess out of them in ART Act and rules. All guidelines were, I can say, that better than this act which has ultimately come out. Government has given birth to a premature child at 32 weeks, what most of the ART clinics are doing. And now they are trying to give surfactants every day to remain it live. There was one meeting in Tamil Nadu. We have received one WhatsApp message that update of the meeting, last slide, sir. Update of the meeting with Health Secretary and DMS on 28/9/2022 in Tamil Nadu. And according to this meeting, it was said that USAID Bank, they do not have clarity yet. Hence, till there is any clearance, no one is allowed to practice donor program. How can it be like that? You cannot restrict any patient to undergo treatment. These type of Tughlaq Raj, IAS Raj is there, and they are issuing any kind of guidelines which are impossible to follow. Considering USAID Bank to set up by a non-profit organization in Tamil Nadu, ART clinic cannot become USAID Bank. Now, it is clearly mentioned in the application itself by the National Registry that ART clinic can register themselves as an ART bank. And this particular, I don't know who was there in the meeting, and they are guiding you that you cannot start ART bank in ART clinic. It is surprising. So the simple local authorities have become more than national registry, more than central government. USAID donor to be altruistic and non-commercial, to be reconsidered. Now, who are they to reconsider? This is the central law. How local appropriate authority can say that we will reconsider? So these kind of things going to happen. We all know that in Corona era, there were multiple daily guidelines issued by different authorities, which were irrational and illogical. So basically today in society, when I go through this slide, I love this slide. This slide gives the complete scenario of today. I feel that this picture is a reflection of the mindset of our profession. Sooner or later, we all will sink if we don't unite and take decisive means or remedies. Please get united, because only if you get united, you can protect your fraternity members from such rules like ART Act or NMC rules or other acts. Otherwise, in future, you will be governed by these administrative people, IAS or something like that. I always end my lecture by saying one shairi. I don't know in Hindi you can understand much or not, but I used to say this shairi that safar mein dhoop to hogi, chal sako to chalo. Means there will be difficulties in your practice. If you want to continue your practice, continue. Safar mein dhoop to hogi, chal sako to chalo. कांटे भी होंगे, देयर विल बी डिफिकल्टीज, कांटे भी होंगे, कंकर भी होंगे, चल सको तो चलो. ये फूलों की सेज नहीं, मीन्स दिस इज नॉट इजी टू प्रैक्टिस नाउ ए डेज. ये फूलों की सेज नहीं, धधकता लावा है, बिकॉज देयर आर सो मेनी एक्ट्स नाउ ऑन अवर हेड. धधकता लावा है, चल सको तो चलो. एंड इफ यू डोंट वांट टू वॉक ऑन विथ सच डिफिकल्टीज, बी ए लॉयर लाइक मी एंड लीव योर प्रैक्टिस. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sorry to interrupt you with such an interesting topic because of time constraints.
Thank you.
We recognize and welcome the presence of our Director General of Police, Dr. C. Shailendra Babu, IPS. It's a pleasure to have you with us here, sir. Thank you so much. Now I request Assistant Secretary IMA TNSB, Dr. Vijay Chandar, to honor the Speaker and the Chairperson. I request the President, Secretary, and the Chairman, Secretary, Treasurer of the incoming PPLSS team to be there on the dais when the Speaker and the Chairpersons are.
I take this opportunity to thank you so much, sir, for the excellent
Umayal,
talks
you can
given.
give the concluding remarks. I am sorry, jumped it. You can say so, please. Cholunga, please.
Thank you. So as of yet, we gynecologists are not able to practice ART. Since last year, there are no donations, no surrogacy, and still the rules are not yet formed. So I was hoping a lot of gynecologists will be here to listen to the talk of his. So we are seeing little bit of light at the end of the tunnel and hope we'll be able to have more information on it. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable information.
Nice beginning to a great day. Thank you so much, Speaker and the chairpersons, for your enlightenment on a very, very important and vital topic. Now over to the second topic of the day.
Sir, regarding this, the rules,
Yes, ma'am.
as Dr. Sharma told, all to be really modified, sir. Otherwise, no gynecologist can practice, and rules are so confusing, and ART is doomed, sir, now.
Madam,
Yes,
we
all of
have
you- all of
past
you
national
IMA people,
presidents and
yeah,
past
IMA
national presidents, national vice presidents here
all
sitting
have
on the
to
front
take
row.
part. Yes, all have to take and help
I'm
all
very
our
sure
gynecologists.
this lecture will not go to waste.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
It will be
All-
taken at the national level.
Yes, sir. All IMA people should help to bring all ART people into limelight, sir, because it's doomed very badly. Nobody can practice ART now in Tamil Nadu as well as in India, whole India.
Jayalal ji, you
Thank
want to say something on this? Over to the second topic of the day, National Medical Commission and medical legal issues by none other than the star speaker, Dr. K. Sendil. I request you to come out to the dais, sir. There will be a shift in the, like change in the program, since DGP has other pressing issues to handle at the government level. We request our Director General of Police, Dr. C. Shailendra Babu, IPS, to come out to the dais. And he is an MSc Agri from Coimbatore, BGL, MBA, PG Diploma, PhD from the University of Madras. So he is a Dr. C. Shailendra Babu with IPS, the thing to be very proud of. And he has served at various levels at the police department. Sir, you started at ASP Sivaganga district, if I am right, sir. You were in Karaikudi also. And I am from Karaikudi. Nice to have you here. And he has lots of things, sir. He has had a training as a commando, academy development training program by the US experts, leadership training on international crime issues in USA, attended top level meeting and training program during August 2014. He is being medaled by our president and secretary. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
ஓகே தேங்க்யூ டாக்டர். நீங்கள் டாக்டர் தானே?
Dr. Sridhar.
ஓகே, எல்லாருமே டாக்டர் தான் இருப்பீங்க. நானும் டாக்டர் தான். பட் என்ன பிரச்சனைனா, ஒரு நாளைக்கு அமெரிக்கா போயிட்டு இருக்கும்போது நான் தூங்கிட்டு இருந்தேன். தட்டி எழுப்புனாங்க, டாக்டர் சைலேந்தர் பாபு. ஆமாம், நான் தாங்க. எமர்ஜென்சி ப்ளீஸ் கம். Then I told them, no, I am only a research doctor. I am not a medical doctor. ஸோ இந்த மெடிக்கல் டாக்டர் ஆகலைங்கிற ஒரு ஆதங்கம் இன்னும் இருந்துகிட்டு இருக்கு மனசில். ஸோ அதனால் இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில் கலந்து கொள்ள ரொம்ப ரொம்ப மகிழ்ச்சி. ஸோ டாக்டர் செந்தமிழ் பாரிசி அவர் தான் கூப்பிட்டார். ரொம்ப தேங்க்ஸ் ஃபார் இன்வைட்டிங் மீ டு திஸ் Tamil Nadu chapter of the Indian Medical Association's Medical Legal Conclave. It's a great honor, doctors, to meet every one of you. Dr. Tyagarajan, Dr. Sendil, Dr. Jailal. Jailal is my neighbor in my native place. Often he takes care of my mother also. My mother is 93 years of age. So at the outset, I must tell you that you must feel proud to be a medical practitioner, particularly science-based allopathic medical practitioner. This is because many of us really generally don't understand the real value of our profession and what we do. In my estimation, two professions are generally undervalued in the minds of people. Only the police job, another is medical practitioner's job. Probably I think we should get a better status among the public because we protect their lives, especially doctors. I'll tell you why it is so. This is my my reading, my understanding, it may be wrong. People like me live happily with a lot of confidence today because of you. 140 crore people live in this country with the same hope that if they have a problem, probably a doctor in the government hospital will save him. They know it's possible. Particularly, I am a endurance sports person. I go for cycling, marathon running, long distance swimming. Before I take up any such assignment, I go through a medical checkup. I consult my cardiologist. I consult my orthopedic surgeon. I test my lungs, I test my heart, I test my joints if they are in proper form. Then I go for long distance cycling. Sometimes I go for 600 kilometers of cycling, you can understand, 600 kilometers. During the COVID times, 3 times we went from Chennai to Coimbatore by bicycle, non-stop. Non-stop means you can stop for breakfast, lunch. Once we went from here to Rameshwaram. So before that, how I am able to go? Because my doctors give me the green signal, sir, your heart is in good form, your lungs is in good shape, your legs can really withstand 2 nights and 1 day of cycling, you can go. Okay? Even 2 days of sleepless nights, you can cycle, no problem. Only after that, I go for this. So confidence that I will not die on the way of heart attack. So doctors are responsible for my health, they are responsible for my happiness, they are responsible for my confidence, they are responsible for all the sports I do. So this is why I want to say, you must believe that you are more important than you think you are. The doctors are very important. I'm a fan of allopathic medicine, I'm a fan of science. I like science, I believe science, I read a lot of information about science. Because science is the only real thing that we see in this world. Whatever we are seeing today, whatever we are doing today is with the help of science. For example, I am speaking to you, you're listening to me in this hall. The audio system is science. I have all the notes I have written for you. It's in my mobile phone. Mobile phone, it's a science miracle. I read in the newspaper, I also helped in some form of transportation of organs once upon a time. An organ must be taken from one particular hospital to Coimbatore airport in 10 minutes. It will be airborne and reach Chennai in 45 minutes. From Chennai to particular hospital in 20 minutes. I have done that. And the doctor called me next day from PSG Medical College to thank me. Okay? I can only help this. But a man's heart is being transported and transplanted in another man's body. That is medical science, miracle of medical science. So, Abraham Lincoln said, next to creating a life, the finest thing a man can do is saving a life. I don't know whether Abraham Lincoln really did understand science, because what he said is correct. Creating life, is it possible to create life? No. Life only can evolve. That's what the great medical scientist Charles Darwin said, life only can evolve. We are all evolved over 360 crores of years. We all evolved from organic, single organism, ordinary cell, a bacteria, to a complex human organization. Nobody can create life, actually. Life only can evolve. But then, that's a big thing to think about evolution of science, evolution of life. And externally that's a big job. Who did it? We don't know. That's the truth. People say God has created people. We don't know, but then who created God? It's a big question. Right? Creator. Who created the creator? They're all big questions. We don't know. But what we really know now is that a doctor can save a life of a person. 100%. So therefore, the point I am trying to drive is, you are really, really very important people. Something related to, almost equal to a creator. But today, I've been serving this is my 36th year of service in the police department. The day I joined till day, I have a lot of doctors as friends, naturally. Right? Anybody? It's better to have a lot of doctors as friends. I am one of the doctors from Kadalur is here. My children are my son was very young at the time, so we needed a pediatrician's help. Rajendran, yes, and his wife. They are the pediatrician for all collectors and SPs. Namaskar. Yes, Surendra, Dr. Surendra, Dr. Selvaraj. So we consult all these doctors. So I know the problems doctors face. Sometimes doctors are frustrated. Sir, I really regret why I started practice. I am harassed. There's a case against me. Some people are harassing me. Some people are really threatening me. I have a problem. I know all this problem. So since this time is very, very short, I only like to say that medical profession, doctors today face a lot of challenges. Like the police department, we have a lot of challenges. An aeroplane pilot has a lot of challenge during monsoon. So you also have serious challenges, particularly in a country like India. The number one challenge is most of the people you meet, your patients, they are devoid of knowledge, particularly scientific knowledge. They are non-science people. They have a lot of ignorance. They are ignorant people. They do not know what is real medicine, what is true medicine, what is a quackery, what is science, what is non-science, what is nonsense, what is pseudoscience. They do not know. They do not know the power of a doctor and the limitation of a doctor also. In the police department, in our book, powers of a police officer. Other page, limitations of a police officer. That's very important. Public may not know this, okay? They think a doctor can do miracle. When her husband is in the 4th stage of cancer, she doesn't want the doctor to say that your husband is going to die in 6 days. She doesn't like. Then what is there? You are there. Why you are there? If my husband is going to die in 6 months after treatment, what is the need for a doctor? Doctor is supposed to have cured all the diseases. Next is poverty, a big challenge. I don't know how much people really realize. Many people don't even come to you for the fear that you may charge a big money. And some of the diseases, they cost so much money that the man cannot even sell his whole property and cure the disease. I used to wonder some of my police constables spending so much money beyond their capacity to save their wife or child or father or mother. I don't say anything to them, but deep in my heart I say it's no point. If I am suffering from a disease which my children cannot afford, I'll say, my dear children, please leave me die. Let me die. Don't spend this much money on me. It's worthless. It's worthless. We're all going to die. Okay? Another 10 years, another 100 years, none of us is going to live in this world. Okay? Maybe after 30, 40 years, nobody is going to be here. It's a short time. Let us live. But let us not spend all the money we have earned to save a man, only for him to die after a few days. It's a big problem. Money. People are very poor, but medical treatments are very costly. You must understand. The point I'm trying to make you is that you should not take a big risk of, demanding so much money and ultimately the man dies. There'll be anger. There'll be anger. They'll go to any extent. They may file a case against you. So I'm only saying it's a challenge. There's no solution. I'm not suggesting a solution to this problem. I said people do not have knowledge. Some people have more knowledge, over knowledge. One of the reasons for the over knowledge is a university. I call university Internet University. They'll know more than you in 1 hour time. If you say you have a particular problem, so annular bulge, they'll spend 1 full day and they'll become a PhD in annular bulge. And they'll come and test you how much you know. Okay? There's a problem. It's good also because the same doctor also will go to the internet and find out what's going on. Right? Everybody's a doctor today. Not only because of the internet, otherwise also, if I have a cold, if I tell my mother, she will tell me some medicines immediately. If I tell my boss, my brother, my student, my colleague, I have a small cough, he will immediately give a prescription. You are doctors, you just say you have a problem, headache. Somebody, he will immediately give a solution. You go and do this. Mostly all these village concoctions they'll say. So nobody is ashamed of giving any prescription just because he is not a doctor. Can you believe in Finland or Norway, Sweden, Denmark, people will immediately give you a medical prescription when he is not a doctor? It will happen here. Here everybody is a doctor. something is very, very important here. It only not only people are doctors, people are have a lot of superstitious ideas about medicine and medical practice. People are highly superstitious, very dangerous for you. I had a deputy officer for me who was looking after a armed reserve of about 10,000 people. He had a heart problem, serious problem. So I got a government order for his treatment, 5 lakh rupee, given a check. Next day I found him in the parade ground. He said, why didn't you go and admit yourself in the hospital? Sir, my wife has taken the horoscope. And the horoscope man says next 6 weeks it is going to be dangerous for him. After 6 weeks, he will be fine. So we are going to operate only after 6 weeks. He died the next week of a massive heart attack in his house. He is one man. His next man is an inspector of police. He took a 10 days leave. He's a diabetic patient. I asked him, where are you going? Sir, I am going to Tiruchendur for the Padayatra. But you said you are a diabetic patient. Yes, sir. When I remove my chappal and walk on my feet. By the time I come back, my diabetes will be over. That is what my prescription. So he doesn't walk. I told, at least you walk with your shoes. So he walked with barefoot. The inner lining of the leg, it is gone. It has become infected, gangrene. When he came back, he came without 2 legs from Madurai after 6 months. Both his legs were amputated because of this problem. The man died a little later. So people here are highly, and even educated people are following pseudoscience than science. It's very, very big challenge. Even some of you sitting here, I vouch and guarantee you don't believe in science. You believe only in pseudoscience. Why I am saying this is general public. They don't know your value. They don't know you practice a system in which everything is based on truth, everything is based on experimentation, everything is based on scientific evidence. They do not know this. Sometimes, last time, I think, during the World Diabetes Day, I saw a leading newspaper. I thought for the World Diabetes Day, they will take an interview from the diabetician, or what do you call person who is practicing in diabetes? Diabetologist. MMC, Madras Medical College diabetic professor and head of the department. It is not, his interview was not there. Can you guess whose interview was there on World Diabetic Day? From a religious person. He's a chief religious person of the whole Tamil Nadu, you can say. He's not a diploma in medicine. He's not a B pharmacy. He's not an MBBS. He's not an MD. I don't know what his qualification is. Probably has no qualification. He's talking so much about diabetes. People like you are reading that newspaper and appreciate how nice it is. How great medicine, Indian medicine is. Our ancestors are celebrating falsehood, celebrating something which has been disproved a long time ago. It's very dangerous. Why I'm saying this is because you have to really protect truth, protect science, protect the art and science of medicine. It's very difficult in a country in which a lot of people don't even have faith in science. Quacks, very enthusiastically, they are spreading falsehood, real untruth about medicine and medical practices. People believe it. Even last week, we also arrested 108 quacks all over Tamil Nadu. You may be knowing that. In one place, people came in large numbers. Sir, he's the only doctor available for the last 40 years. Even our police families, he's the only savior. Why are you arresting him, sir? Yes, he was actually assistant to a doctor once upon a time. He's even performing minor surgeries. When I was the SP in Kadalur, we arrested a man and a woman. They were doing regular surgeries. He was earlier working in Mumbai in a butcher's shop. He cuts mutton in a nice way. The same way he cuts. He is assisted by his wife, who was a nurse in Mumbai hospital. So both of them a good combination. They do surgeries. It was in Panduti. It was a long time. This was in 1997. So, and the last and most important challenge is a lot of antisocial elements. People who can blackmail you, can threaten you, can attack your hospital, they may attack even you. And in some cases, we have come across situations in which they have even murdered doctors. I don't know, you know, in the history of Madras Medical College, I was the Joint Commissioner. The Dean himself was murdered in 1955, I think. 1955. The Dean himself. His name is Ubaydullah or something like that. I forgot. It is in 1955, the Dean of Madras Medical College was murdered by a gang of people. Somebody died in the hospital, so they came in big number in the village. They attacked and killed him. And recently, one more incident somewhere. Yes, Thuthukudi. That lady doctor is practicing medicine for the entire community for more than 30 years, almost free of cost. He's like a god for the community. But a stray fellow came and murdered him just because his wife died or something like that. So it's a very, very challenging, heroic job that you are doing. Under the circumstances I narrated, hope I tried to make myself clear about the real challenges faced by the doctors. So ultimately, of course, the negligence on the part of the doctors cannot be ignored. As human beings, as medical practitioners, as police officers, it's likely that we also make mistakes. And we should find out, try to correct so that humanity can live in peace. After all, we cannot afford a specialist like a medical specialist to be ignorant of medicine, to be careless about practicing medicine, because your own children can be victims. You can be a victim because of that. I can be a victim. I don't know whether I can talk here or not. Even well-experienced doctors can make mistakes. Like in any profession. Even a well-experienced pilot can make a mistake, and all of the people who are traveling can die. Once upon a time, I went for a regular medical checkup, and the doctor said, your ECG is showing a variation, and you must immediately go for an angio. This was 20 years ago. I told doctor, today morning I ran 10 kilometers in less than 1 hour. Will it be possible my heart will have a problem? He said, we can't take a chance, sir, you must go for an angio. So immediately I admitted myself, took an angio and found there is nothing there. You are absolutely fine. Angio means it's a big procedure. I really don't know whether it's correct or not till date. I'm unable to decide whether he did this correct or not. I told him 3-4 times, doctor, there's no need. I'm cycling, I'm running, I'm swimming. Today, before coming for this, that day early morning, so yesterday itself I ran. But he did it. So, I'll just conclude. So what is medical negligence? As per the Moni versus State of Kerala, this is a simple definition, and Honorable Justice is here, they'll be talking. A lot of experts are here, so therefore I'm not going to dwell on medical negligence and the possible consequences. But the Kerala High Court says, in case of medical man, negligence means failure to act by the standards. There's a standard. If you violate the standard, it's a problem. Standard of reasonably competent medical men at that time. There may be one or more perfectly proper standards. All India Medical Association, Tamil Nadu Association may be having a standard. If you don't violate the standard, the doctor is safe, he cannot be prosecuted. It's good enough. And if he conforms to another proper standard, then he is not negligent. Therefore, it involves 3 constituents. One is a legal duty of the party complained of to exercise due care and caution. The doctor should exercise due care and caution. Any profession, in medical profession, police profession, the man who is piloting an aircraft, all of us should exercise due care. If we breach that duty, the consequences will be very bad, therefore we are liable. Some of the most common examples of medical negligence: misdiagnosis, failure to diagnosis. Tamil Nadu itself, we have a few cases. All India level, a good number of people died last year because of the medical negligence. You'll be aware of this. Tamil Nadu itself, 8 people died last year. So, failure to diagnosis, failure to perform appropriate medical testing, failure to adequately monitor the patient, anesthesia mistake, improper prescription of medication, failure to obtain informal consent from the patient, and incorrect treatment. These are the very common examples of medical negligence. So there are, of course, laws which make you liable: civil law, torts, criminal law, and sometimes departmental. Indian Medical Association can take action, maybe medical department, dean is here. You can take action against a doctor who has, done negligence. Even when police case is filed, when the police make an investigation, ultimately the expert doctors will be consulted. Only if the expert doctor says that there is reasonable evidence to show that the doctor has not taken adequate care and caution according to a standard, then the police will proceed. Therefore, doctors really don't have to really worry if you have exercised due care and caution. And law, is very supreme. Law has also given you defense. Section 80A, 80 and 88 of Indian Penal Code. Section 80 says, nothing is an offense that is done by accident or misfortune and without any criminal intention and knowledge in the doing of a lawful act in a lawful manner by a lawful means and with proper care and caution. So Section 80 Indian Penal Code is giving you the protection. Don't worry. At least this conference, you got the message, good message, that you are safe in the hands of law. Okay, don't have to worry. As I told, if some people are purposefully threatening you, blackmailing you, police department will certainly stand by you. In fact, we anticipate. In many occasions, sitting in Madras, if I know something has happened in the hospital, somebody died, you know what we do? Immediately, we make adequate security arrangements around the hospital. You may be knowing that. Even before you ask us, we send adequate force because there's a likelihood of an attack on the clinic, hospital, particularly the private hospitals. So there is Section 88 for your defense, and that Section 88 Indian Penal Code says a person cannot be accused of an offense if she or he, that means a doctor, performs an act in good faith for others' benefit and it does not intend to cause harm, even if there is a risk, and the patient has explicitly or implicitly given their consent. So Section 80, if somebody is asking you, threatening you, tell Section 80 and 88, Indian Penal Code has given me the defense. So I'll defend myself. So conclusion, officer, doctors, the job you're doing is very, very significant. It has a lot of relevance to the people. You are more important than you think you are. Second thing, the country where you are practicing has a lot of challenges. A lot of people are ignorant, people are poor, people are superstitious, people does not know the real value of science-based medical practice. They may not really know. There are, misconceptions, superstitions about medicine practices. Under these circumstances, we'll make a conclusion only that you must take due care in your profession and you keep educating yourself. In our police job, 30 years before, if somebody comes with a complaint of a cyber crime, I myself may not know what is this. But today, cyber fraud, cyber crimes, a police officer is supposed to know through learning, like Japanese kaizen. Japanese have a concept of kaizen. That means continuous learning. Every human beings are destined to learn more and more what's going on. So doctors particularly, because every day a science method, a method of surgery, a medicine, a method of treatment is evolving all over the world. A doctor should not say, this method is not developed in India, my forefathers, my ancestors, therefore I don't follow. That may be the view of a layman or a highly superstitious person. He will only look for backward. A superstitious fellow will look for inspiration 2000 years before. A medical doctor, an allopathic doctor, look for what is going on all over the world in 188 sovereign countries of the world. What's evolving in every aspect of medicine and surgery. So you must be a science doctor, you must be an evidence-based doctor, you must be a doctor who is continuously learning. This is the conclusion, so that you don't make mistakes and you exercise due care and caution. And one of the doctors in my native place who served for the people of my country side 25 years was from England. His name is Dr. Samruval. Large number of people living in this place got inspiration from him, and some of them became very illustrious doctors later. This man spent almost all his life in my native country. He was actually given Olympic medal for mountaineering. He came to India only to climb Mount Everest with Mallory and his team. All of them died except this man, Dr. Samruval, Dr. Howard Edward Samruval. People of this country still love him. In fact, they opened a medical college in his name, Dr. Somerville Medical College in Trivandrum district. Okay, such a lovable person. So he has written a book called Knife and Life in India. Very interesting. How medicine would have been in 1925 till 1955. How people died like flies because of malaria, because of cholera, because of other diseases. At that time, how difficult it was for a doctor to go around to the village, and people are dying one after the other. All these things are there. One of the things he has clearly mentioned, and his advice to the doctors, I leave it with that, is that he says, do the best you can, do the most you can, and very importantly, talk the least that can be talked about it, because many doctors land in trouble because they talk too much. Wish you all the best, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Wonderful lecture on a great day morning. Sir, please stay on the dais, please. I request Organizing Committee Chairman Dr. Thangamuthu, sir, to honor the speaker and the guest in the presence of the State President, Secretary, the Organizing Committee, PPLSS, Dr. Chandrasekhar, Dr. Manivannan. I request past National President, Dr. Jailal, also to join. You are his doctor. And I take this opportunity to request the guests to stay back on the stage and honor a panel of our councils. I request the learned councils to be ready. I request the whole team to stay back to honor the councils for PPLSS. Sir, I request the whole team to stay back and honor the council, sir. President, sir. President, sir. Tale? Yes. Now I request our guest to honor our councils for the PPLSS scheme. I first call by name lawyer Anand David, sir. Next will be lawyer Charan, sir. Charan, Dr. Charan. I request Mr. Lawyer T.K. Vijayan, sir, to be ready. Lawyer T.K. Vijayan, sir. Next will be Lawyer Pandian. Congratulations. Lawyer Pandian from Tanjavur. Next will be Lawyer Rajendran from Trichy. Please, sir, wait, sir, wait, sir, wait, sir. Please wait. Sir, please wait. Rajendran, sir, please wait. I request lawyer Manohar from Salem to be ready. It will be now lawyer Manohar of Salem. I request lawyer Pandiyarajan from Dindigul to be ready. To be ready, sir. Please wait, sir. Please wait. That will be lawyer Pandiyarajan from Dindigul. I request lawyer Mithun Chakravarti of Theni. Mithun? I think lawyer Mithun is not there. Auditor Mr. Rajaram? Right, okay. I thank all the learned counsels for their help and support to our medical community. I thank our IPS, Director General of Police, for honoring our lawyers. Thank you so much, sir. We recognize the presence of Justice Mr. A.D. Jagdish Chandra, Madras High Court, Amisas. Welcome, sir. He'll be talking on National Medical Commission and medical legal issues.
Dr. K. Sendil is a PG Board National Medical Commission, past member MAC, past president TNMC, present president and past secretary TNGDA, past president TNGDA Madurai. Welcome you, sir.
I request President Secretary to be present on the dais along with the incoming Chairman, Secretary and Treasurer while adorning the medallion. I request Dr. Prakasam sir to adorn the medallions. Please. Thank you. எதுக்கு சார் எதுக்கு சார் இல்லை இல்லை
Good morning. First of all, I thank the President, Secretary, and the other organizers of the IMA for giving this opportunity. And at this juncture, I appreciate the organizers for organizing such an important conclave, that is medical legal conclave, which is absolutely essential for all the registered medical practitioners of the state. And friends, my topic is about National Medical Commission and some medical legal issues. In itself, it's a big topic. And as you all know, I'll try to be precise. And you all know that the National Medical Commission has been in place since 2020 end, in place of Medical Council of India. The Medical Council of India was the regulator of the medical education as well as all the ethical issues, all regulations, and maintaining the Indian Medical Register. The Medical Council of India was formed way back in 1934 by an first Indian Medical Council Act, which was enacted in 1933. And of course, after some time in 1956, again, a new act, Indian Medical Council Act, was enacted, and that was in place till recently, that is 2020, when the National Medical Commission Act has replaced the Medical Council Act of India. And this was first enacted in 2019, the NMC Act. And the act was enacted in 2019 and by the act of parliament, and now it is in force. And the earlier act of Medical Council of India was repealed. And as you all know, that the major regulator of the medical education is the National Medical Commission. And apart from certain other institutions like National Board and central institutions like AIMS, all the other education, that is undergraduate as well as postgraduate education, is being regulated by the National Medical Commission. And the main objective of the commission is to provide quality medical education and of course to ensure the availability of medical professionals and to promote and achieve all the national goals, of course to maintain the National Medical Register and to encourage research and other activities. And to put it in a nutshell, the National Medical Commission has three bodies. One is the commission itself, the next one is the autonomous boards. There are 4 autonomous boards, and the third one is Medical Advisory Council of the National Medical Commission. The commission has about 33 members headed by the chairman and 10 ex officio members, that is presidents of 4 autonomous boards, and the Director General Health Services, Director General ICMR, and 1 from among the AIMS of the country, and 2 from the central institutions, and 1 additional Secretary Health will also be a part of it. And there will be 22 part-time members, out of which 3 will be non-medical personnel, experts from law, science, management, etc. And some 10 vice chancellors from various states will be given a chance to occupy as a part-time member for a period of 2 years from on rotation basis from various states. Similarly, elected nominees from State Medical Council, 9 members will be representing on rotation basis the National Medical Commission. And the autonomous boards, there will be 4 boards. One is UG board, postgraduate, that is UG Medical Education Board, Postgraduate Medical Education Board, Medical Assessment and Rating Board, and Ethics and Medical Registration Board. Each autonomous board will consist of 1 president and 4 members, out of which 2 are full-time members and 2 are part-time members. And they form the core of the National Medical Commission. And in fact, they have a lot of role, and which will be in the commission in itself will act as a regulator. That is, they will approve the regulations proposed by the autonomous boards, and once it is approved, it will be approved by the Government of India and will be published in the Gazette and will come into force. And the approval agency will be the commission, and of course it will also act as an appellate authority of all the boards. See, the major work, as you all know, the major work in undergraduate medical education board is to form the minimum standard requirements, that is MSR, for each category, that is 100 MBBS students and something like that. And the teaching experience qualification also should be framed, and curriculum, recognition of UG institution, list of UG institution, that is in the schedule, NMC Act schedule, the recognized institution will be maintained by the respective UG board with regard to UG institutions. And again, foreign medical graduate institute regulations also will be framed and formed by the undergraduate medical education board. Similarly, in PG Medical Education Board, the MSR with regard to PG courses, MSR, teaching experience qualification, curriculum, recognition of PG institutions, list of PG institutions and courses in each institution will be maintained in the schedule, and the foreign medical PG regulations also will be framed by the PG board. And the third one is Medical Assessment and Rating Board. Here, this board will actually do inspections, form a team, and by all other methods also, like other enabled attendance system, like video recordings, and even by third-party inspections, they will inspect and assess if there are regulations formed by the UG and PG board or there in that particular institution. These rating board, assessment and rating board, will inspect and give the inspection report to the respective boards. If it is a UG institution, then UG board, PG institution, it will be, they will submit the report to the PG board. The recognition part will be done by the respective boards. In case if there is any problem, they will ask for deficiencies, that is clarification from the particular institution, and they will send some correct rectification report and compliance report again the boards will either order for reinspection or approve or disapprove with the available details. And once it is disapproved by the respective boards, again the particular institution can appeal to the commission, that is the National Medical Commission is an appellate authority against the orders of the respective boards. And the second appellate authority will be the Government of India. And that is what is happening all these years since 2020. And due to COVID in 20 and 21, of course, the activities of all the National Medical Commission and the boards were little less. Now it has taken up. Almost we are revamping the National Medical Commission and the boards are revamping all the regulations, UG regulations, PG regulations, even the inspection formats, everything. And in due course, maybe in another 1 year, I think everything will be set right. And the new mode of functioning of the regulators will be in place. And the fourth board is Ethics and Medical Registration Board. This board will be controlling all the state medical council. All the other three boards are medical education boards, academic boards. And this Ethics and Medical Registration Board is concerned with all the state medical council. They will be governing the work done by the respective state medical council.
We recognize the presence of Justice Indu Malhotra, Madam. Amit Sas. Welcome, Madam. Please, Sendil Sir, please proceed.
And this medical registration board will propose and get with the approval of the National Medical Commission, formulate all the code of ethics and the regulations for CME and CPD. And of course, it will be the appellate body for all disciplinary actions taken by the respective state medical council. And it is also taking active part in the quacker eradication. And the Medical Advisory Council in itself is a separate body. It consists of all the 10 ex officio members headed by the chairperson of the NMC. And every state and union territory will be represented by a vice chancellor and a representative from the state medical council. And of course, apart from that, there will be the chairman, UGC will also be a member. Director, National Assessment and Accreditation Council will also be a member. And 4 Government of India nominees from IIT and IIM will also be nominated. And the main function of this Medical Advisory Council is advisory in nature. And every state and union territory, whatever the problem representations to the council, they have to represent to the National Medical Commission through the representatives, either through the Vice Chancellor or from the member from the State Medical Council. And I think this is an introduction about the National Medical Commission. And to give a gist of it, the commission itself will have 3 parts. That is, one is commission, another is autonomous boards, and third one is the Medical Advisory Council. Advisory Council is, they will have about 88 members, and they will have an advisory role with regard to the commission. The boards are the crux of the commission, and they will form all the regulations, and they will give the all recognition, everything to the respective institutions. And the commission will be an appellate authority, and they will approve all the regulations formed before it's been approved by the Government of India. And of course, with coming to the common medical legal issues in itself is a big topic. And of course, as our predecessors have spoken about some of the issues, I just want to make some of it here, bring some of it here to your notice. That is with regard to case records and concerns. That's a very important, and everyone, there are a lot of issues. And of course, as a State Medical Council President, we encounter a lot of issues on that. And of course, the next one is maintenance of the medical legal records with regard to AR, PM report, wound register. And again, those attending all those medical legal cases will be aware of it, and they should also be aware of all those acts related to that. And the third one is about PCPNDT Act. This is a very important act, and MTP Act, and about rape and POXO Act, all that every registered medical practitioner should know. And I think those dealing with such situations, that is those owning as ultrasound or echo scan, all they will be well versed. Other doctors also should know. And of course, physician in special, they should know. And the Clinical Establishment Act, many of the states have brought in their own Clinical Establishment Act, and in Tamil Nadu there is a Clinical Establishment Act. And every doctor has to register, in the sense if they are going to practice, that center should be registered. And I hope in Tamil Nadu, most of them have registered. And of course, other acts, related acts are Drugs and Cosmetic Act, Narcotics Act, Pharmacy Act, Magic Remedies Act, all those things we are supposed to know. And Disability Act, especially those giving disability certificate, dealing with, that is orthopedics, neurology, all those people should be aware of it. And again, Environmental Act and Pollution Control Board regulations and the biomedical waste management, all that everyone should know and comply with all the regulations set in that. And of course, Labor Act, Fire Safety and other basic revenue acts, everyone should know. And a small gist of each act, that is PCPND Act, physicians as well as all those involved in that, pediatricians and all those involved in pregnancy, all that they will be aware and they should be by heart in this act. MTP Act, again related to them. And the POXO Act, again, is a very strong act. Many of the doctors, they are not aware of this act. That is, if you are going to not report any child abuse with regard to sexual offenses, it is a crime under this act and a doctor can be arrested. Please notice that. In case if we encounter that, it is our duty to report to the authorities. Again, rape. With regard to pregnancy of a minor girl, again, even if the person is married, it may not be valid, and again, they should be aware of this provision also. And again, with regard to Clinical Establishment Act, you are supposed to know the basic records that are to be maintained. Even an OP with a single room outpatient clinic, they are supposed to maintain certain records prescribed in that act, and with all the doctors should comply with these provisions. Again, otherwise, when they go in for legal complication, they may have to answer all that. Again, going into the depth of the common violations with regard to Code of Medical Ethics, I would say these are some of the causes. That is, display of unrecognized degrees and proclaiming themselves as specialists. This is the most common violation, I would say. Next is with regard to false or improper certificates, medical certificates they issue and get into problems. Third one is advertisement. A registered medical practitioner should not advertise, but they indulge in advertisement. Of course, confidentiality class of the patient. And of course, with regard to pharma sponsors, gifts, travel, hospitality, and endorsements of drugs. And again, commission and dichotomy, that is sharing with scan centers, lab investigation centers, and with other doctors. And with regard to sex determination, even running an open medical shop, a registered medical practitioner should not get a license, medical shop license in their name, and they should not run an open medical shop. Many of the doctors may not be aware of it, they should know that, and that will be viewed as an unethical act. And with regard to acquiring credit hours and prescription with generic names along with the commercial names, you have to prescribe generic names. This is a must. Again, you should not promote secret remedies. Of course, negligence is another part, that also comes under unethical, that is misconduct. And in this, I would say that the most important thing which leads to an accusation or a charge of medical negligence is not maintenance of records. That every record is important, especially concerns are very important. It should be very formal and it should be in the prescribed format. And case sheet writing also, anybody sees any specialist or doctors who sees the patient, there are notes to be written and is to be signed. And that is very important. And with regard to concern, many occasions, especially in government institutions, they get the signature of the person, that is the patient. Sometimes when the patient is major, they get a consent from the attender. That is not allowed. When a patient is conscious, oriented, and in a position to take a decision, you should get the consent from the patient and a witness also. And preferably write their names and the relationship of the witness. That is important. Few occasions, the courts have not accepted such a consent without any such details. So be sure and take time to ensure all that before going for the procedure. And again, what is negligence? Not maintaining a standard quality care while dealing with the patients. And it may not be the best possible care that is needed, but standard care should be given, and if it is done, there may not be a case of negligence. Otherwise, there can be a case of negligence. Again, with regard to many issues, as our DGP sir was talking earlier, negligence per se doesn't mean criminal negligence. Only criminal negligence comes under the police action and the criminal action. And many a times, of course, any case, the police always gets an expert opinion. Whenever a expert gives an opinion, they should be sure, especially when they give an opinion to the police, whether whether there is negligence or not first. If there is negligence, whether it amounts to criminal negligence. Most of the time, the experts, they don't give whether it doesn't amount to criminal negligence, and the police are misguided. If they just say negligence, again they think that when they ask for an opinion, when there is a negligence, it may be a civil negligence. Unless they specify that, the police takes criminal action against the doctors. That is to be avoided, especially those experts. When asked for, mostly it will be government doctors. And of course, many a times the police asks expert opinions from the state medical council also, where we clearly say, whenever a letter comes to us, we give an interim reply stating that there is no criminal negligence in this. In case of civil negligence, we have to take time and inquire. That's how we give a reply. And again, with regard to the other details of violations from the Code of Ethics is this unrecognized qualification. Unrecognized qualification, I would say above the age of 45, about 25% of the doctors are indulging in that, and it's a very sorry state of affairs. Some doctors may be a MBBS, they will display some unrecognized degree. Some people may be even they would have attained a super specialty degree like DM and MC. Still they indulge in such displaying of unrecognized degree. It's an unfortunate situation. All those doctors should refrain from that, and we should promote ethical display, and we should not try to mislead the patient. And unless it is registered by the State Medical Council, it is accepted and registered by the State Medical Council, those degrees are unrecognized if you are not aware of it. And many a time these kind of display degree are obtained by a course, online course or a correspondence course, and even they give some money and buy a certificate and display it. All those are all very wrong. And many a times membership of associations are displayed, and that also is not allowed. And foreign degrees, and many foreign degrees are questionable, and in NMC now we are bringing out a certain list of foreign degrees that are approved. Only those degrees will be registered, only those degrees to be displayed. Display of other degrees is almost equal to quackery, and we should refrain from that. And again, with regard to common mistakes with regard to sickness certificate, and everyone should refrain from giving false certificates. Most of the time, a patient, you may be a patient of the doctor, they will come in, they will just say, my daughter is getting married, I want a medical certificate. My son is writing an exam, +2 exams, I want a medical certificate. That kind of thing should not be encouraged. Only based on treatment, you should issue certificates, and by certain basic records you are supposed to maintain. That is, with regard to Clinical Establishment Act, all those entries, that is, whenever you are going to give a certificate, that should be entered in the OP register. Without entering in the OP register, no certificate should be given. And of course, with regard to certificates, again, it all depends on the diagnosis made. You have to recommend the number of days the patient needs rest. Again, it can be a fracture. At a single stroke, you can give 45 days, 2 months. But it can be a URI where you can just give only 5 days. And in many cases, diagnosis cannot be made on a first consultation. That time, you are supposed to leave only for 5 days, review the patient, do some basic investigation, rule out other causes, or diagnose some causes, and then based on the diagnosis, you give the certificate. Otherwise, generally, don't give without diagnosis, don't give a longer leave. That is not advisable. And usually, the on request certificate should never be given. And of course, the next common mistakes is found in with regard to death certificate. Death certificate in Tamil Nadu can be given only in two conditions, that is 2 situations. One is when the doctor is treating the patient as an inpatient and the patient dies, they will give it in Form 4. And if one patient is on the treatment of the doctor or a consultant as outpatient, but in such a case, if the patient dies, it again depends on the situation. The doctor should have seen the patient at least 2 weeks, within 2 weeks of the date of death, and only if he is so sure the condition he was treating might have led to the death on one side, and again examining the patient, see on the day of death, that is the body on the day of death, and ensuring that there is no foul play, they can issue. Otherwise, they are the best person. Only based on such verification and examination, they should issue. Otherwise, on request, most of the time for cremation purposes, on request, doctors issue. That is absolutely wrong, and they will end up in problems. On several occasions, we have even punished those RMPs who have issued false certificates without seeing the patient. And with regard to age certificate, again, nowadays with birth registration being made compulsory, age certificate, unless warranted by the authorities, court of law, please don't issue, because since 2000, the Birth and Death Registration Act has been made compulsory in Tamil Nadu, and almost it's 23 years now. Most of the requirements will be fulfilled by the birth certificates, so don't issue age certificates on request. Of course, how to assess age, and that most of us know, but it's mostly irrelevant now. And this is another one common issue which crops up always. This is life certificate. That is it's a identity certificate stating that one person is alive. This is not a medical certificate. This is basically identity certificate. It can be given by any persons of reputation or gazetted officers. But most of the time, they always approach the doctors because they are readily available. And just because they have seen the person, they should not give. Because only on 2 occasions, the life certificate will be needed. One is for the pension, getting the pension after retirement. When the patient is, when the person is getting pension, the government or the authority will like to know that whether the patient is alive. That time, earlier they were asking the doctors. Now the postmen with the Aadhaar verification system, they are doing it and they are submitting report to the government. Earlier, they used to come to doctors and we used to issue without verification. And the next one is with regard to registration of properties. When there is a power of attorney, to ensure that the original owner is alive, they will request a life certificate of the original owner to permit the person with power of attorney to sign. That time, it will be dealing with a lot of worth of rupees, and there will be many foul play. And that time, if you are going to go by ID cards, because we will not be competent to make sure whether the ID card is true or not, unless we are able to verify through Aadhaar, means that is Aadhaar enabled verification process. We should not do it, and none of the doctors will be permitted to that. And so avoid, unless you know the particular person in detail, in person, with regard to the name, place, and their previous work or situation, don't issue. We will always land in problems.
Sendil sir.
Yes. And again, advertisements is a common thing. What the ethics says, a registered medical practitioner should not indulge in any advertisements using their name, photograph, or procedures, what all they have done, and such things are forbidden. Of course, advertisements in the name of hospitals or in the name of even their own clinics is always permitted. There is no bar in that. And for heaven's sake, don't use please comply with these regulations and don't promote that using your names. Of course, online advertisement is also wrong, and please desist from indulging in that. And the third one is with regard to confidentiality of the patients. Many a times, they routinely get the consent from the patient. While doing a surgery, while doing a procedure, they get a consent, and without knowing what it is, the patient sign. With that, they always say that I have got a consent. That is not permissible. Promotion or breaching a confidentiality clause to promote one's own practice is unethical act. Definitely, that should not be done. And of course, with regard to pharma sponsors, it's a commonly alleged term, but we have not encountered many complaints on this. And commission and dichotomy, again, it's also a common allegation by the public and press. But in State Medical Council and National Medical Council Commission, we have not encountered much complaints on this. Sex determination and feticide, again, it's a grave crime, and just for the sake of money or for the sake of the patients known to them, they should not reveal the sex of the fetus or indulge in feticide. And again, running an open medical shop is not allowed. And of course, association with quacks and other things, as you all know that this should not be done. And so on some occasions, we get to know such complaints, a doctor giving their name boards to a quack, and they don't go there at all. But in case of problems, they say they practice with the particular center. That all those things are to be avoided. Hence, in spite of all this regulation and other things, I think 95% of the doctors are complying with all the regulations and are practicing genuinely. And one major violation deviating from this percentage is with regard to the display of the unrecognized degree. We are going to stop that. I think most of them will be complying with that. And the medical profession is still one of the most respected and sought after professions in the world. And we should be proud of it. And ignorance of law can never be an excuse. Know about legal necessities related to medical professions and medical ethics. And ethics, though prescribed for many professions, is always insisted for medical profession because it's always deals with death and pain. And we should always be proud to follow medical ethics. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
I am very sure the audience would have listened to you with rapt attention. Please stay back. I request immediate past president, Dr. Painisamy sir, to felicitate the speaker in the presence of the state president, secretary, Dr. Chandrasekhar sir and Manivannan sir. Very, I think regarding the certificates, you would have all listened to him with rapt attention. He's not only a medical TNMC past president, but also an NMC board member. So I think whatever he has said is from the horse's mouth. And you all would have imbibed what he had told us today and practice in your day-to-day practice. Thank you, Dr. Sendil sir, for your excellent narration. On humble information and notice, kindly check out from your rooms in both the hotels, Feathers and Lemon Tree, because the checkout time is 12 o'clock. Please make sure. Then the green chip of the day by Honorable Justice Mr. A.D. Jagadish Chandra sir. Medico-legal litigation, the way forward. We request our Honorable Justice to be accompanied by our State President and Secretary to the dais. He will be adorned the medallion by the State Secretary.
Justice A.D. Jagadish Chandra, Judge, Madras High Court, started his individual practice as an advocate in the year 1997, practiced in both trial and appellate sites in civil, criminal, writ jurisdiction, consumer and other commissions. He served as an additional public prosecutor of the Madras High Court in the year 2010. He has served as panel counsel to the State Human Rights Commission and as honorary legal advisor to the Tamil Nadu State Women's Commission, Chennai. He was a honorary associate editor of the law journal Chennai Law Times Criminal. He was appointed as a amicus curiae to assist the court in the matter of Katta Panchayat in the year 2016. He was sworn in as a judge of the Madras High Court in June 2017 and is sitting judge of the Madras High Court. Welcome you, sir.
Good afternoon to you all. I'm really happy to have been invited as a guest of honor along with my friend, Director General of Police, Dr. C. Shailendra Babu, IPS. And I'm also honored to be delivering my speech in the presence of my Honorable Lordship, Justice Indu Malhotra, former Justice of the Supreme Court of India. I thank Dr. Sendamil Pari, the State President of IMA, Dr. NRTR Tyagarajan, Honorary Secretary, IMA, and other committee members and past presidents and legal advisor, Mr. Anand, for having invited me to address this esteemed gathering. Before we go into the subject, I would like to share some of my experience with, personal experience with doctor. Right from my college days and my school days, I used to spend a lot of time with my friends and relatives who were studying medicine at Tirunelveli, Madurai, and also Stanley Medical College at Chennai. And I'm aware of the hard work and training they have undergone to become members of this noble profession, which saves lives of many people. There is a famous saying in Tamil, Ayiram Perai Kondavan, Arai Vaityavan. Actually, the right proverb is, Ayiram Verai Kondravan, அதாவது Ayiram Verai Kai Kondavan, Adaindavan, Arai Vaityan. Madam, there is a proverb in Tamil which says that if you kill 100%, you become a half doctor. 1,000%, you become a half doctor. So you'll have to become a full doctor, you'll have to kill 2,000 people. But it is, the real meaning is that you'll have to study subject regarding number of roots, native roots and herbs. That is what the real meaning is. I used to meet my doctor friends when I was practicing as a lawyer, and by the time we used to share jokes about each other's profession. I remember one joke about the profession at that time. I think it was published long ago in Anand Vigadan. It's a thing calling அவர் எப்படி போலி டாக்டர்னு கண்டுபிடிச்சீங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லும்போது he says அவரோட கையெழுத்து ரொம்ப பிரமாதமா இருந்தது அதனால தான் போலி டாக்டர் கண்டுபிடிச்சேன். How do you find out that he was a quack doctor? No, the medicine, the drugstore, they say that his handwriting was very clear. So that's how we found out that he's a quack. And then they used to share jokes against us, saying that இப்படி தான் ஒரு தடவை ஒரு லாயர் ஒரு டாக்டரை கிராஸ் எக்ஸாமின் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கும்போது கேட்டாரு, நீங்க போஸ்ட்மார்ட்டம் பண்ணும்போது விக்டிம் உயிரோட இருந்தாரா செத்து இருந்தாரா? So while cross-examining, the question put to the doctor was, while we were conducting postmortem, whether the patient was alive or dead. There are number of jokes about professions of both doctors and lawyers, but I must also take up the responsibility of sharing my experience in my legal journey as a lawyer and a judge with regard to the topic which has been given to me. Medico-legal litigation, the way forward. I think Dr. Sendil, I had prepared a lot, and I think Dr. Sendil has covered most of the things which I had prepared. Those are the days when doctors were regarded next to God in saving the lives of patients. We used to listen to our family doctors, especially thinking that it was a command and a direction. But nowadays, with the advent of Google, every patient thinks that he is a doctor himself. And he thinks that he is better than the medical professional. Same thing happens to lawyers also. When I was practicing at an advocate, some of the clients who used to visit me used to question me with their brilliance, saying that about, sir, in 1993, the Supreme Court has said like this. But he would not have known that that would have been overruled by a subsequent decision. But he will be studying somewhere in Google and he will be questioning us. We get irritated. So virtually, they would not have been updated about the judgment, but still they ask many questions and they get irritated. They irritate us. But I have not shown to them my irritation. And I always pardon their ignorance. Being experienced with such situations, when I visit my doctors, I do not ask any questions. I only apprise them about my symptoms. I feel and show the test reports. I remember my visit to the doctors at my school days. The doctors by then used to see my pulse, examine with a stethoscope, check our eyelids by pulling down widening the eyelids, pressing our stomach, ask for pain, and if any, find the illness by clinically diagnosing and prescribing medicine. On their compassionate words and confidence, fear as well as fever would have gone. In those days, meeting a doctor and getting a cure for the disease was that much easy and less expensive those days have gone. Those days have gone. Nowadays, when I visit a doctor and complain about any ailment, they immediately, before writing down a prescription for medicine, direct us to go to various tests like scan, blood test, etc. We do not know whether it is required or not. Wondering such practice, I asked a physician. He replied me saying that many of the patients are educated and they are always on Google. They become Google doctors themselves and they get perplexed with the symptoms. And that is why we are referring for lab test to get a conclusive test about the ailment, though we could identify the same on clinical examination. So you don't want to take a risk, isn't it? What is the necessity? One must have faith and belief when approaching a professional. It may be a doctor or a lawyer. Husband needs to have the trust of the wife, and wife needs to have the trust on the husband. Parents need to have trust on the children, and children need to have the trust on their parents. It is always the trust which plays a major role in life. It brings about cordiality. The doctors also should appear as trustworthy persons for a patient. Once the trust of the patient has got over his doctor is lost, then the dispute or conflict arise. Here I must say, people say about diagnosis, I'm telling you about my own life story. It was about 20 years back. My wife was taken to a doctor. She was feeling little sickness and taken to a doctor. She was referred to a rheumatologist. The doctor sent her to a lab. The lab, they did number of tests, and the technician in the lab, he comes from my native place. And after seeing the test, he looked very, very worried. I asked him, he told me that the signs, the diagnosis shows that sister has got SLE, lupus. Then I immediately checked the Google, and after I found out that it's a very deadly disease and I would be losing my wife within 3 months or 4 months. That was what I was literally crying the whole night and praying. Next day I went to the doctor. Doctor said, your report shows that. And after clinically examining, he said, your wife doesn't show clinical, there is no symptom of lupus or SLE. And my wife is alive even after 20 years. Thank God. So sometimes results may be different. Results may show something, but clinical analysis will be something. And in life it will be something. We do not know. This is all, as you say, it is all medical miracles. There are times when tests have also shown false results. That is my own story, as I told you. At this juncture, I remember another experience with a doctor friend, an orthopedic surgeon, with whom he's a very good orthopedic surgeon. And he's my friend's own brother, with whom I have shared his hostel room number of times. I have good trust in him, and he's a very, very good orthopedician. Few years ago, I suffered a fracture. Immediately, I called him. He asked me to come to the hospital. And on examination, he found some variation in my heartbeat. He didn't want to take a risk. Though I'm known to him for several years, he didn't want to take a risk. He referred me to a heart specialist for doing an angio. And some cardio tests were conducted. And after cardio angiogram was done, they said that I'm found to be normal, fit for the surgery. I was taken back to his hospital. Surgery was conducted on me. Some plates were fixed. And I was discharged after a few days. And I took rest for 1 month. And after 6 months, I was feeling some sickness. I went to a general physician, and he told me that, sir, you have undergone a surgery 6 months back, and your report shows that you are a hyperthyroidic patient. Have any doctor not told you about that? I said, I was shocked. He said, this is the hyperthyroidism is the problem which you have been having it for 6 months. Whom to blame? My brother's friend, he is a senior orthopedician. He is an important orthopedician in the city. And I cannot, but he did not inform me about the hyperthyroidism problem I have. This is like, see, the doctors, they don't take the patient holistically. See, you are an orthopedician. You are only concerned with the ortho problem. You are not taking about the problem. You are not considering the problem, other problems of the patient. If you had told me 6 months ago I would have taken treatment for hypothyroidism. I only came to know very later that it was at a peak level, and fortunately, I was given treatment and it has now become normal. Now, the embarrassing situation is whom to blame here, me or the orthopedician? He's the number one orthopedician. No one can deny that. But these are the situations. So you must treat people like a whole person. You should not treat patients like a car mechanic. The car mechanic, you send him for a AC repair, they do the AC alone, and they don't deal about the other things. You will have to again send it for another mechanic. It is not like that. Doctors should deal a patient wholly, and we should be educated then and there about the problems we have. I sometimes feel that there is no holistic approach here by specialists. So probably they would not have time to individually tell them about the other problems. What we ask from doctors is your assistant should be able to guide us properly. Nowadays, the concept of the family doctor is gone. Previous days, that was the one-stop solution. The doctor gives us he checks he keeps track of the entire. Now the family institution of family itself has gone. The joint family system is gone, and the concept of family doctor is also gone. I think as a guest, I can take the liberty to tell you about the measures and precautions which you will have to take in the medical profession. And Dr. Sendil has covered the whole issue. I don't want to take you once again. So whenever, what are the problems doctors face is expose yourself by clearly mentioning your qualification, training, and experience on your letterhead and prescription as provided under the Indian Medical Degrees Act 1916. Ensure that your staff and assistants are duly qualified. Allowing unlicensed staff will lead to criminal consequences. Recently, many cases have gone against hospitals for not employing clinically licensed clinical staff in their hospital. That is also one of the reasons where awards have been passed against hospitals. There should be a healthy patient and doctor interpersonal relationship. Unlike a healthy person, a patient patient seeks lot of attention. Listen to the patient. Eye-to-eye contact will do lot of conveying the assurance that doctor is there to help the patient. You would have seen the Padam Vasul Raja MBBS, Kattipudi Vaidhyam. As a patient, I'm speaking to as a patient, what we need is more compassion from the doctors. We also understand that you are all busy, you don't have time, but words of compassion use a lot of healing to the person who comes to you. And you should also reveal the truth about the ailment and the treatment options to the maximum extent possible, of course, without terrifying the patient or the caretaker who comes along with the patient. Answer all the queries of the patient or the caretaker and enlighten them. Inquire about previous ailments. The patient might also be suffering from other ailments. He may not think it is relevant to appraise you, but it would be useful to the medical practitioner to diagnose the patient fully and find out the root cause of the ailment. Before prescribing any medicine or any course of treatment, it would be better to ask for information from this patient whether he is allergic to any such medication as a patient is not for experiment. I'm also allergic to sulfa, and a doctor prescribed sulfa medicine to me, and my entire skins, there were rashes throughout my body. So I'm telling out of my own experience. So those were the days we do not know whether I was allergic to sulfa or not. Nowadays, whenever I go to a doctor, I inform the doctor, and I also see nowadays doctors are asking which drug you are allergic to. This is a new thing I see in a lot of the doctors now. So next one is valid and informed consent. Obtain a legally valid consent after informing the patient and his caretaker before understanding any surgical procedure, whether it is a major or a minor one. Here I would like to share two of my cases which I had done I was a criminal advocate and criminal trial advocate, and I also conducted a number of cases against doctors, and I've also defended doctors. This is about a pediatrician. He is supposed to be the number one in Trichy. பெரிய டாக்டராக இருக்கலாம், யூ மே பி அ நம்பர் ஒன் டாக்டர், பட் யூ மஸ்ட் ஆல்வேஸ் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் தி ப்ராவர்ப், யானைக்கும் அடி சறுக்கும். He was leading doctor in a important town. I don't want to name him. He's supposed to be the number one pediatrician in that city. It's a two-tier city in Tamil Nadu. A child was born to a mother. It was found to be hyperbilirubic. The pediatrician was called to the hospital. This gynecologist called for the pediatrician. He found that the child was suffering from hyperbilirubinemia. So he had given treatment, and after 2 days he has entrusted the child to his nurse, and he had left on a tour. And that the bilirubin level has gone up, and from somewhere he had called the nurse to give barbitone. And even thereafter it did not reduce. They allowed the bilirubin level to go more than 52. Ultimately the child was found after 2-3 years. It was found that it was mentally retarded. And that was one of the cases where the Tamil Nadu State Human Rights Forum, the Human Rights Commission awarded a compensation of rupees 7.5 lakhs. So that is a case where I don't blame the doctor also, but these are things. The same thing happened with a leading doctor in a town in Tamil Nadu also. She is also a leading gynecologist in a small town in south of Tamil Nadu. She had a Muslim lady was brought to her for her 7th delivery, and after 7th delivery, the husband gave consent for doing a hysterectomy for the lady, and hysterectomy was done. The delivery was done properly, and after hysterectomy, the doctor went on a tour somewhere. And the reason given by the husband of the lady is that the doctor was also doing business of real estate, and she was buying properties elsewhere, and she had to go for a deal, and she left for the deal, and the patient was left to the care of the nurses. And she underwent severe bleeding, and there was nobody to take care. Mother of 7 children died in the hospital. So I don't believe she is the number one gynecologist in the particular city. But post-operative care, they didn't do it. And that is the reason it resulted in the death of the patient. So you should always give proper instructions, provide the patient and the caretaker with instructions in a incomprehensible manner, so that they understand the importance and adherence of the same. And right medication has to be prescribed. Prescribe only reliable medicines after analyzing whether it would be allergic to the patient. Never prescribe any banned medicine. Update of information in this regard is a must. Recommend proper dosage at right levels. Patient be made aware of the side effects, if any, even if it is very lesser. And another thing, what is important is the documentation and preservation of records. Number of cases I've seen where doctors lose is that they don't preserve the records, and they don't part with the record also. Number of cases they have not given. It is a must that you have to part with the records, and you must, whenever a patient is discharged from your hospital, you must give a discharge summary along with the records. That is always necessary. Legible and comprehensive recording of patient's case history, diagnosis, the ailment, the treatment and prescription is important in medical practice, and its preservation at least for a period of 3 years is more important, as provided under the Indian and under the Professional Conduct and Etiquette and Ethics regulations. If required, such records need to be supplied to the patient or to the legal authorities within a period of 72 hours. As the earlier speaker said, you should always be updated. The world is moving fast. With research and development in all fields, medical field is leading in the race. Information is health, but not wealth. Legal responsibility. Despite taking all efforts in good spirit, if you receive any legal notice alleging medical negligence on you, don't be impulsive. Seek for proper legal opinion. Don't think that You yourselves are expert in law. There are legal experts to help you. They will be able to help you. Today, several laws have been enacted ensuring timely remedy to the litigants. Everyone will have to follow each and every laws. As I said, the earlier speaker had spoken to you about the laws which are prevalent. I don't want to repeat the same thing. Another thing is that nowadays many doctors do not know, whenever you purchase important equipments, they need to be registered. Even a scan, you will be aware of it. Even a scan equipment which you buy, it has to be registered with the government. And I'm shortly, as an overview, I'm telling you about the views of the court. The court considers 5 elements while deciding a case on medical negligence. They are duty of care, breach of duty, cause in fact, proximate cause, and damage caused. The apex court as well as the other courts have laid down that under no circumstance a competent medical practitioner may take an unreasonable course of treatment which severely puts the life of the patient at risk when there is an alternative with less risks and better chance of success. As the earlier speaker said, in POXO and criminal cases, immediate and proper information has to be given to the authorities concerned then and there. Don't keep up the information you get. You should immediately part with to the legal agencies. Nowadays, I see in a number of CBA cases, doctors are roped in as accused for having issued medical certificates. And also, nowadays, I'm sitting in the bail roster for the past 6 months. Number of doctors have been brought in, implicated as accused in the case for giving life certificates. You innocently believing your friends or your earlier patients, you give a life certificate. These are misused by the accused. A person who is dead, they get a life certificate from you. They go before the registering authorities, they register documents, and the doctors, for innocently or not, I do not know, you will end up in trouble. Number of cases. For the past 6 months, I've seen more than 4 or 5 cases in which doctors are being accused of having given life certificates without seeing the persons. See, the courts of our country have all along been adopting the traditional Bolam test as laid down in Bolam versus Freyren Hospital Management Committee to hold that a medical practitioner is not guilty of negligence if he acted in accordance with the practice accepted as proper by a responsible body of medical men skilled in that particular art or particular science. After about 40 years of its dominance, Bolito test as laid down in Bolito versus City and Hackney Health Authority came into the picture with the finding that despite a body of professional opinion approving the doctor's conduct, he can be held liable for negligence if it is demonstrated that the professional opinion is not capable of withstanding logical analysis. It was also clarified therein that doctors could not be judges in their own case and the courts alone could be arbiters in the case of medical negligence. A recent judgment of the Apex Court in Devarakonda, Surya, Sheshamani and others versus Care Hospital Institute of Medical Science and others reported in 2022 Live Law SC 753 has come to the rescue of the medical practitioner by holding that every death in an institutionalized environment of a hospital does not necessarily amount to medical negligence on a hypothetical assumption of lack of due medical care, and it would not be possible for the court to second guess the medical judgment of the doctors on the line of medical treatment given at the relevant time. In a recent case, few days ago, the National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, New Delhi, has observed that the Consumer Protection Act not to be used as a halter around the neck of doctors, making them fearful and apprehensive of taking professional decisions at crucial moments to explore possibility of reviving patients hanging between life and death. The judicial overview of medico-legal cases in India involves a careful evaluation of medical evidence and the application of legal principles on case-to-case basis, depending on the facts of the individual case, to ensure that justice is served. What are the measures to be taken by doctors to reduce the incidence of medico-legal cases is that medical practitioners need to ensure that the patients understand the treatment options, risks, and benefits. Medical education and training should be strengthened to ensure that doctors are well equipped to deal with the complex medical and legal issues that arise in medico-legal cases. Continuing medical education programs can be introduced to update doctors on new laws and regulations. I hope these conferences like this, your yearly conferences, will be of much use to be of doctors who are from far and the length and breadth of Tamil Nadu. I wish IMA also to continue with several other programs like this. It should be quarterly or halfly, and depending upon the location, you can have it at Madurai or Coimbatore or wherever place. They don't keep it at Madras alone. So that doctors who are unable to come all the way to Madras, they can come to Madurai or Tirunelveli. This is my suggestion to you. You can also take note of that. Standard protocols and guidelines should be implemented in hospitals and clinics to ensure that medical care is delivered consistently and accordingly to established standard. This can help to reduce the incidence of medical errors and improve patient outcomes. Alternative dispute resolution methods such as mediation and arbitration can be used to resolve disputes between patients and doctors without resorting to litigation. These methods can be faster, less expensive, and less adversarial than traditional litigation. Health infrastructure should be improved to ensure that patients receive timely and high quality care. This can reduce the likelihood of adverse outcomes and the incidence of medico-legal cases. Medical regulatory bodies should be strengthened to ensure that doctors are held accountable for their actions. This can help improve the quality of medical care and reduce the incidence of medical errors. Above all, the medical practitioners are expected to adhere to high standards of professionalism and ethics, and they must be prepared to provide objective and accurate evidence to assist the court in the decision-making process. And finally, I tell you that you should not think that money alone should be the criterion for you. You should take Madam Indu Malhotra, Lordship, was in the peak of her profession. She was never missing in court. She was in the peak of her profession. She had sacrificed the practice and took up she was only having few years of judgeship, and she has sacrificed her high practice, and she had taken up the post of a judge in the Supreme Court. And I was speaking to her, she said that gives a satisfaction to her. Ultimately, everyone should have a satisfaction in life, and each and every doctor should see that at the end of the day, you are satisfied with what you have done. I thank you for giving me the opportunity. I wish IMA all success in all its future endeavors, and IMA should be prime. The prime thing should be to reduce the cases, medico-negligence cases in Tamil Nadu. I wish you all the best. Thank you once again.
Excellent narration of what is essential for our profession. Thank you, Justice Sir. Now I request President-elect Dr. Abul Hassan to honor. Please, sir, stay back, sir. To honor the guests in the presence of State President, Secretary, Chairman Ilango, Secretary Lenin, and Treasurer Balaganesh can join them on the dais while honoring the guest of honor. I think take-home message is very deep. You should, at the end of the day, you should have satisfaction that you have done the right thing.